Like how we're conserving water here in Credit River too?
Yeah, that's fine. Should be good.
Well,
Right.
Karen.
No, I told Shane we don't need them. Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah, we good. I told Shane and Bob and Cindy that there's nothing we need them for. Cindy will be here Thursday for planning commission, so planning commission Thursday.
What's that for?
Mike Robin.
Oh,
Look at that.
and he told me he would never, remember when he got
know.
all up in the air, he'd never split his lot, leave this, that.
Yeah.
That's a weird.
That
Would be like an L.
I don't
Oh, yeah.
understand why that the one is a L shape there where that's got the barn on it. Yeah.
Well, he wants the kids want to build, right?
Yeah.
He's
But it,
talked about that for a long time.
it's just interesting in the way the split looks, so yeah. On Thursday? But all depend. I mean, don't look at me. It's Bill's in charge of that. Bill's our chairman of the planning commission. All I do, Carolyn, on that night, all I do is come in and turn it on. Here you go. All right, 6 o'clock. Let's get rolling. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you everybody for joining us for the January 18th City Council meeting, Credit River. Start by approving or amending the agenda. Does anybody have anything to add or move on the agenda tonight?
Nothing. Make a motion to approve the agenda.
All right. Thank you, Brent. Thank you, Al. A motion and a second to approve the agenda as written tonight. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Consent agenda. Those items on the city council agenda which are considered routine, non-controversial are included as part of the consent agenda. Unless a city council member specifically requests that an item on the consent agenda be removed and considered separately, items on the consent agenda are considered under one motion, a second, and a vote. Any item removed from the consent agenda shall be placed on the agenda under old business. Tonight on the consent agenda, we have approval of resolution 2022-03 supporting the application for the staffing for adequate fire and emergency response, or otherwise known as the SAFER grant. Resolution 2022-04 authorizing the posting of weight limits on Longview Lane. November 15th council minutes, December 6th council minutes, December 20th council minutes, and resolution 2022-05 ordering the improvement for the 2022 overlay project. Is there anything on the consent agenda tonight that anybody would like to remove and consider separately?
Nope.
I would take a motion.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Leroy.
I'll second.
Thank you, Al. Got a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as written. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Open forum. The public forum is intended to afford the public an opportunity to address concerns to the city council. The public forum will be no longer than 30 minutes in length, and each presenter will have no more than 5 minutes to speak. Topics of discussion are restricted to local governmental topics rather than private or political agendas. The city council may discuss but will not take formal action on the public forum presentations. Does anybody here wish to speak for open forum tonight?
Huh? Walt is not talking? Oh my goodness. sakes. It's a good way to start the new year off.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Bill Markert, 7690 Crestview Drive. I was approached by a few citizens who asked that I speak tonight on their behalf about concerns regarding Credit River paying the increased costs we will incur if the Prior Lake Fire Department hires 12 full-time firefighters. After listening to them this afternoon, I share some of their concerns, and my apologies for not giving you these concerns in an email prior to tonight's meeting. According to the most recent published Minnesota Fire Marshal report, fire and non-fire callouts for the Prior Lake Fire Department averaged only 1.3 callouts per day, made up of 43 fires and 423 non-fires. It's hard to understand how Prior Lake Fire Department can cost justify hiring 12 full-time firefighters for this call-out volume. According to the Fire Marshal's report, there are many communities in the area that have higher call-out volumes who utilize on-call or duty crews, which are far less expensive staffing models than utilizing full-time crews. Some of these communities that use on-call or duty crews include Eden Prairie, Farmington, Chanhassen, Chaska, Bloomington, Golden Valley, New Hope, and Crystal. It should be noted that many times communities with full-time fire departments also provide the ambulance service, which they can then charge those that they transport. And these charges that they charge can help offset the full-time fire crews. Prior Lake can't do this because they use Alina for its ambulance service. A properly staffed and scheduled duty crew seems to be more cost-effective staffing model and appears to be a better use of resources given Prior Lake's low call-out volumes. My understanding of a duty crew is that it is made up of part-time scheduled firefighters that work predetermined shifts. They respond directly from the station, just like full-time firefighters. A duty crew station is staffed just like a full-time station, so response time should be identical. Staffing levels can be the same as well, but they are paid on an hourly wage. And my understanding is that they don't receive the benefits that a full-time, you wouldn't incur the benefit costs that a full-time firefighter would you'd require to pay. So here are the questions I wanted to pose to City Council. Number one, why wasn't a duty crew staffing model not chosen versus deciding to hire the 12 full-time firefighters? Do we know? I know I'm asking you, it's the Prior Lake Fire Department that, these questions are probably better asked to. What happens if the SAFER grant that you approved tonight is not granted? You approved for the application, but what if it's not granted? Can we tell the Prior Lake Fire Department that we don't want to proceed because we're going to incur the incremental costs immediately? The next question is, does the full-time staffing go into place before we get the grant, or do we wait until we see if we get the grant? Which my understanding is the grant, it'll force, we won't incur the cost for like 3 years, and then after that we start to incur it. What happens if we disagree? What happens to our contract with the Prior Lake Fire Department if we disagree that this is the best approach? Will we still be forced to pay the additional cost? Do we have any other options? And then this last question, I don't have to ask because you already approved it in the consent agenda, but those are the questions. And talking with Brent before the meeting, maybe we could have the fire, good option would be having the fire chief from Prior Lake come to one of our meetings and explain the rationale for doing this. And did they do a cost benefit analysis of full-time versus duty crews? Because a lot of these other cities use duty crews and don't incur the cost of a full-time staff. So that's all I have tonight.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the questions, Bill. And I think that's probably the best. I think your suggestion is probably the best thing is, so Prior Lake in a workshop setting came here and did a really great presentation for us explaining, the financials behind it and whys and that, and, starting with the population they cover almost 40,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a presentation like that would probably benefit showing that again.
Right.
At council, we could probably do
or post the presentation to our website so people can take a look at it.
Right.
If they don't want to come here and present it.
So I think that's the best way to answer your questions.
Yep.
Rather than us taking a stab at it here in open forum tonight.
Sure.
So,
well, thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Anybody else for open forum tonight? Hearing none, we'll close open forum and let's move to general business. General business number 1, territory CSTS rate discussion. Dominique.
Did it again, hold it down. Voila.
Thanks, Chris, for putting that on. So in terms of the first one we're going to discuss is the territory. So we have a quick PowerPoint online And so basically the territory highlights are the last rate increase was in 2016. And the rate increased to $78 from $60. The council guideline is to have approximately 3 months of expenses as cash on hand or operating cash. And currently the requirements, council requires that 15,774 of operational cash go to restricted cash for repairs and contingencies. And we would want to highlight that this probably will be discussed probably next year after evaluation in the next year. And then the council did hold off on an increase to rates in 2021 per residence request. So the next slide covers the territory budget. So the boxed-in area basically is the budget for 2022. And we did get the operator's input on that. And then I would call out the 2021 forecasted. That basically is our best guess because we haven't finalized, but it should be fairly close. So in terms of 2022, the proposal is that we have expenses of 151,000 this past year. 2021 were estimated at 130,000. So that puts us at 28,000 of operating cash, and down below the 37 is the requirement for the 3-month requirement. So what that so it is showing us that we're below the 3-month cash requirement. And if you look at the projected 2023 will be depleted in 2023. And that's if we keep it at the $78 rate. The proposal is to increase the territory rate from 78 to 90. And that would put us at operating cash of 46,000. So that would be above the 37,000. And that would allow us not to be negative in 2023. And also there is currently the development in the territories that would add on, and it would add on 25 additional properties. And that could happen sometime in 2022, but we're not counting on it, but we're hoping it could happen in 2023. The next page is just some details on the 151,000 versus the projection on the 130. The key items that are higher year over year, the larger item would be the annual prevention, as it definitely is 20 plus years, the age of the CSTS. So the operator is projecting preventative type maintenance. And then the other one is septic pumping. But if you look at septic pumping in 2021, it was significantly lower than we've had in the past. So we probably will have our normal levels. So I think it's important and agree with that. So the items for evaluation throughout this year will be that MPCA has communicated operation and reserve funds will now be required as a part of inspections, issuance, and reissue. The council probably will revisit the 15,774 a year. Is that enough? Are the reserve levels adequate for 20 years, 20-year plus systems? And I think that MPCA in the past really didn't get involved with that, but now they're requiring it. So we just want to give people a heads up on that. And then also those 25 properties is on the horizon, so that if we don't know the timing on that, but if it does come into play, they would pay right away at the platting point $90, and that would bring in another 27,000. So that would quickly bring that 15,000 back to the 3 months of reserve. So for the territory, the recommended action for the council is to set the rate at $90.
Okay. I think the two important things, I think we don't know on those 25 lots. And that's been, we've heard that's coming
10 years.
for 3 years now, right? Well, I mean, but they applied 3 years ago, and they continue to delay.
We can't count on it.
Right, so we can't count on it. You know, we're gonna be upside down if we don't change something. This year, we'll be upside down next year. The other key is, again, that note that's in there. We got that notification from the MPCA that is gonna require us to put together a replacement plan and financing plan. So,
And it's
Going
gonna
forward.
take time and
Yeah.
dollars to put the plan together, and being a subordinate service district, it has to self-fund. So there's gonna be costs involved just doing the planning.
yep, absolutely.
Right.
And that topic's gonna be the same amongst all three of these that we're talking about tonight.
Yep.
So if you guys have any questions,
No.
I don't know if there's anybody from territories here tonight that has any questions. If you would approach the podium.
Mark Seniors, 7735 Questions?
Sir, could you turn the mic on? We've got it there.
There you go.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
To start over?
No, we're good.
I think we all understand the need for the increase. That's,
Mhm.
I think we're closer on those 26 lots than people realize. I hear they're for sale, and they've been talking to developers. So I think they're gonna be coming on sooner than when we thought they would be. So I would ask the council to consider a little less of an increase this year, and then make up the difference for the following year when we know exactly where we're gonna be on that deficit. That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Man, I do have, you know, because I like the thought that those lots are come, but we've heard that they've been close for 3 years now, you know, and I understand that, you know, that having those in would probably make the difference this year and next year. I still think it's tough to count on those lots when we've seen it be delayed, and to your point, you're right. He's actively trying to market the development. And so we don't know, even if somebody would buy it, what that turnaround looks like. You already look like you're ready to say
Yeah.
something.
Mr. Mayor, and when we discussed this, we kicked it around about not going up to the 90. I feel we should go up to the 90. We can always come back down in a year or two if the lots come online. We just got the whole thing back when this started was it wasn't going to be a burden on any of the taxpayers of the township. It was going to be self-sufficient. And so.
So
that might
I-
make sense.
Yeah, so I've got two things. One, I think our objective has always been to limit the number of increases we put in. So we established it and let it run for a couple of years. And then Brent was involved, and I was involved back when we were at 104. And we actually adjusted it down pretty substantially. So we're not even back to where it used to be yet.
Right. Yeah.
We did hear many times that if you're gonna give us an increase, but we would just as soon wait as long as possible for an increase before we have it, so that people aren't paying for necessarily for folks that if they sell and, you know, they're paying for it as they're going, but it's not going through with it. This is a really tough one because we hate raising it, and I appreciate, sir, you being here. Did we send notices to everybody? So we sent notices to everybody. We have one resident of territory, which I'm, I guess, a little surprised at, but then again, people are busy and there's a lot going on. So are you a separate homeowner?
No, I'm together.
Good try, good call though.
Yeah.
Good call though.
You know, I will just say this, Alan Leroy are right. We have tried to watch it. We had some meetings where people weren't friendly like you are. And pretty much said that, you know, we didn't know what we were doing and that we were just raising to raise. We don't want to raise. I wish we didn't have to raise. But we've got to have enough operating money in there because subordinate service district has to be self-supporting. And, you know, this is a lot less than, wait till you see the next presentation.
Oh, I saw it.
Yeah.
One other one, Mr. Mayor, when we lowered it down because the residents were complaining there was too much money in the kitty, and we said, but what if one of these systems breaks down? We're gonna have to. Probably 20 people in here that night said, then do a
Special assessment.
special assessment.
Yep.
And we're fine with that and whatever, and about 2/3 of those have moved out now, so. But that's, and we try to do it so it's 3 years so a person can plan, so you can budget for it, whatever.
Yeah. Bart, getting their comment.
I'm just, with all three of these tonight, my only comment to the staff would be that perhaps we were notified, but nothing about the dollar amount that was being discussed. So perhaps in the future, you might get more people here when they know that it's gonna be 158, like in the next one. You might see more people.
The difference in the next two are that both of those have issues that
Yes.
need corrections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd also say that we've had previous discussions last year with MHSP
Mhm.
based on their project and.
Yeah.
With the
So,
HOAs.
Yeah.
That corrective or.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, not a bad thought, Mark. I mean, putting
That's a really good point. If we say
Yeah.
your rate's gonna go up $12 a month, then those we probably the roof would be cooling off. Temperature would increase 20 degrees in here, but it's a really tough one, but we have to have enough dollars to do it, and we have waited as long as possible. So
We
Yeah.
kind of bent the rules before, but now with that council.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
Stepping in, that's-
the other piece that's gonna be the unknown pieces. When we put together, what does that replacement plan look like? I think we're gonna have a pretty good idea once we complete Monterey Heights South Passage filter replacement. That's gonna look like that's gonna be $250,000 to $300,000 repair. And if the MPCA is gonna require us to fund that, to have funding in the kitty, you know, at some point in territories and all of them, right? So that this
Yep.
rate might look awfully different after that, after the MPCA requirements happen.
And
So
we still have
it's-
people moving into these properties that don't understand what they're buying. when they buy them. So we're continually having to put these fees on people's taxes to get them to pay, or,
Yeah, it's
They're
more
saying-
better than it has been.
yeah.
I think we're down to a handful now of people who just don't pay a whole year long. And then the interest, yeah.
And then the city, they turn their water off. Well, they will.
Yeah.
Turn the water off.
Sure. Okay. Well. What would you guys like to do?
Any motion?
Any motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion that we adjust the territory CSTS rate to $90 per month.
Okay,
I'll second that.
thank you, Al. Thank you, Leroy. Motion a
Can we
second.
have some discussion?
Yeah, if you want something else.
Well,
you
we
want
have
to
a
discuss.
motion in a second. But I just wanted to say, I think we just want to make it clear that if we can lower this based on the new lots coming in, that we would definitely look at that, and we would definitely consider that.
Sure.
Well, I think we've always, because we look at it
Yeah.
every year,
Right,
and
right.
the goal is to get as close to the 3 month
Yes.
requirement as we can. at
Absolutely.
the end of year cash. It's
Yes.
always been the goal, right?
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay,
Go ahead and call
so motion a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. So let's move on to Monterey Heights South Passage.
The last, the highlights for the CSTS, the 2013, in 2013, the last rate increase was 2,104 from 98.75. Again, the council guidelines are to have approximately 3 months of expenses as cash on hand or operating cash. The council requires for this CSTS to have 9,041 a year to restricted cash. And again, this will come under review. We do currently have a project going on, and that is the sand filter correction or repair. And that is estimated at this time to be around $245,000. And we have secured $150,000 as a part of the 2021 bond with a payback of 5 years. And then also there needs to be a rate increase to pay the bond over the next 5 years. So on the next page, this shows the bond information. And the bond was secured at 1%, but statutorily were required to collect at a 3% rate. And that's something that can't be changed. So if we look at the demands of repayment for the bond, each of the years, it would increase the fee by $54.22, 23, 56, 55 for 2024, 53 for 2025, and then 52 for 2026. Now, maybe we can pick a rate, but to me, it was important to present the increase just based on the bond repayment schedule. And then the current rate is the 104. So the monthly fee, when you add those two components together, and the mechanics of it being separated is one would be set to end at the end of 5 years. So on the next sheet, basically, again, we're seeing the 2022 budget. So the budgeted expenses are 70,000, and we're estimating to end at 59. so that we are, for MHSP, we are good in terms of operating cash in terms of the 3-month requirement for expenses. And then I would call out that the restricted cash is at 164. So if you recall back on the first page, the project is coming in around 245. We secured 150. So the council is also thinking in terms of the balance of the project would come out of the reserve cash. The next schedule basically looks at the expense budget, so the forecasted 2021, and then what we're looking at for 2022. Again, we had a very light septic pumping year, and then we have preventative maintenance, and then the rest are smaller changes. So this coming year or over the next year and a bit, again, the MPCA has communicated that they will require operation and reserve funding plans as a part of inspection, issuance, and reissuance of permits. Again, currently we put aside 9,041 for repairs and contingencies, and there'll be discussions around are these reserve levels adequate? And then evaluation, the reserve replenishment needed for the additional cost of 100,000. If the balance of that project comes out of restricted cash, then at that point, the council would need to decide is 60,000 adequate. So the recommended action for MHSP would be to increase the rates to cover the payback just for those 5 years. And I put the final rate as opposed to the due components. So that's the recommendation.
Okay. Council members, any questions? No. Anybody here from Monterey Heights South Passage that would like to speak on the proposed rates?
And again, these increases we're looking at would be the billing February 1.
Correct.
Yes.
So when the bills go out here in another 2 weeks.
Yep.
Actually, a letter will go out.
Right.
Yes.
About the rate increase, and then it'll go up. But on this one, it will have definitely good increases.
Okay. Any thoughts, questions, or you guys?
Nope.
At least our reserve dollars are good.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Imagine if they weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then would have had the bond for twice as what we did. Yep.
And we really don't have any choice. I mean, it's something that has to be replaced.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, again, that's the 20+ year
Yep.
cycle on some of that stuff starts to show up.
Mayor, I'll make a motion for a rate increase in Monterey Heights. And Passage.
Is your motion to include the recommended next 5 years?
Yes.
Bond payback?
Yes, 158, 160, 159, 57, and 156.
Okay.
And I'll second.
Thank you, Councilmember Schomer, Councilmember Novak, appreciate that. I got a motion and a second for the Monterey Heights South Passage rates for the next 5 years to be 158, 160, 159, 157, and 156. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Stonebridge.
So for Stonebridge, the highlights, last year there was an increase to 130 from $95. The recommended increase to cover expenses and to maintain reserves over a couple of years was 150.75. council guidelines is that we have approximately 3 months of expenses. Currently, the amount that goes in annually is $5,258 for repairs and contingencies. And we are proposing an increase of 32. The council did hold off on making the increase last year. But you'll see in the next one. So if we take a look at the budget worksheet this current year, so the budgeted operating expenses for 2022 is 59,000. Estimated to finish this year is 49,000. So that we will be below the 3-month cash requirement, and then in 2023 will be depleted. So so we are recommending a $32 increase, and that would get us back to, on the next page, taking a look at the cash would be at operating cash at 22,000, requirement 14,000, and then it would maintain the cash levels through 2023. The expenses for Stonebridge are the 59. The significant changes are improvements other than building, 65,000. So we have been asked by,
6,500.
oh, sorry, thank you. The MPCA has issued corrective action is required. So we do have engineers working on what that'll mean design wise. And we are required to get back to the MPCA this year in terms of the corrective action. So we do have money put aside in the capital, just something. But we really don't know what the cost of the corrective action will be. So again, since the audience is the same MPCA, same things, the 5,000 and are the reserve levels adequate? And then again, we have this corrective action required by the MPCA. Engineers are evaluating and scoping the requirement in 2022. And I would highlight that we did hold off on increasing. We increased it not as much as the numbers were showing us that we needed to last year. And then this is a tough CSTS because there are only 32 properties.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not economies of scale there, so that, you know, territory has generally a different picture.
Mm-hmm.
A $12 increase versus 32. So anyways, so the recommendation is that we set the rate at $160.
Council members, any questions on the presentation or the,
No.
okay,
No, we keep doing this, but there are no options.
yeah.
Yeah.
Any residents from Stonebridge in the room that would like to talk? So that would be
It's across the road from Monterey Heights.
east of where you are in the territories and south of 8.
Monterey, there's actually a Stonebridge. Stonebridge.
So past the roundabout on 8, a little bit further on the right-hand side. Yep. Yeah, I think the important one, this one, again, remember, last year we were issued a notification from the MPCA requiring us to hire an engineer to figure out the operation because it's long-standing, been out of compliance with nitrates and other levels have been out of compliance. That is an ongoing project going on. We do need to let the MPCA know, have a plan. This year, we don't need to make the correction this year. We need to have a plan for a correction by the end of some point this year. So, and again, the important piece to remember, last year was recommended that we raise the rate to 150. We raised it to 130. And so now there's a little bit of catch up in that as well.
Part of it, they're operating with one well instead of a backup well.
Test wells. So the
No,
test,
not the test well.
oh,
A water well. Then we have to put the second one in.
Yeah, they have a private water system there,
Mhm.
like Territory does, which we are not involved in, but
Right.
they've had expenses on that too, so.
yeah.
Yep.
And then also there was the whole denitrification.
Mhm.
So that was completed 2 years ago.
Okay. Well,
Mayor, I'll
Make a
make-
motion to set the rate at $162 for Stonebridge.
I'll second that.
all right. Thank you, Brent. Thank you, Al. So we have a motion and a second to set the Stonebridge CSTS rate at $162. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Any council member liaison updates or council member reports? Anybody have anything tonight?
Yep.
Leroy.
I ordered the signs for a Longview, a 5-ton weight sign and the no construction traffic allowed sign.
Okay,
They're gonna put that up in the next couple of weeks. We'll put it in 100 to 150 feet in from the road. And then we might put speed limit sign in through there.
there's no post or anything there right now. Okay,
We're gonna do that, and then I was up in Franciscan Retreat today and fixed a few road markers up by the county road that the homeowner said that the snowplower cut it off, but somebody with a bobcat was cleaning up around there.
Hmm.
Flat white ones,
yeah,
those are up and fixed.
okay.
About it. My adventures.
I got one more. So I did pick up the camera. As soon as I won't get pulling off the ladder, I'll get it installed.
Yeah. With the parachute on.
Yeah, I know, but I'll get that put in sometime in the next week or so, and then I'll get a link to the two computers in here.
You're not gonna bungee to the.
No,
Yeah, flagpole thing, that's flagged in, you could tie off on that.
no.
Funny.
Good.
Brent, you got anything
No,
tonight?
nothing.
No, nothing? All right, sounds good. Let's take a look at the listing of claims for tonight. That was in the packet. Claims for tonight total $675, $456.59.
So, Mayor, I would call out that the bond payment is in there,
Sure,
as well as the fire and police first.
perfect. So those are the big ones, bond, police, and fire. Okay. Other than that, anybody else have any other questions, any other claims in the tonight? So,
Make a motion to approve the claims.
I'll second it.
so I've got a motion by Brent, second by Leroy to approve the claims tonight payable for $456,000.59. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Adjourn. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Al.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Leroy. Motion a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none.